Hi everybody, welcome to Jin's Wall Street News. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported last Friday that the unemployment rate ticked up to 4.1% in February and total non-farm payroll employment increased by 151,000 in February. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell delivered a speech after the jobs report was released last Friday, quote, "Despite elevated levels of uncertainty, the U.S. economy continues to be in a good place," unquote. 10-year Treasury yield rises to 4.28% after Jerome Powell's remarks. For the U.S. stocks, S&P 500 rose 0.55% and the Nasdaq Composite gained 0.7% last Friday. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported last Friday that the unemployment rate ticked up from 4% in January to 4.1% in February, according to the household survey data. Furthermore, the labor force participation rate decreased from 62.6 in January to 62.4 in February. According to the establishment survey data, total non-farm payroll employment increased by 151,000 in February, below expectations of 178,000 gain. Healthcare added 52,000 jobs in February, and employment in social assistance increased by 11,000. Manufacturing employment rose by 11,000 after declines in December and January. After the jobs report was released last Friday, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell delivered a speech, quote, "Despite elevated levels of uncertainty, the U.S. economy continues to be in a good place." Turning to the labor market, many indicators show that the labor market is solid and broadly in balance. The jobs report released this morning showed employers added 151,000 jobs to payrolls in February, and the unemployment rate ticked up 0.1% to 4.1% last month. Smoothing over the month-to-month volatility since September, employers have added solid 200,000 jobs a month on average. The unemployment rate remains low and is held in a narrow range between 3.9% and 4.2% over the past year. The jobs-to-workers gap has narrowed, and the quit rate has moved below pre-pandemic levels. Wages are growing faster than inflation and at a more sustainable pace than earlier in the pandemic recovery. With wage growth moderating and labor supply and demand having moved into better balance, the labor market is not a significant source of inflationary pressure. When it comes to the monetary policy, he added, quote, "We do not need to be in a hurry, and we are well positioned to wait for greater clarity." If the labor market were to weaken unexpectedly, or inflation were to fall more quickly than anticipated, we can ease policy accordingly, unquote. 10-year Treasury yield moved up and down as investors were confused by the jobs report. However, after Jerome Powell said, quote, "The U.S. economy continues to be in a good place," unquote, the yield began to rebound. For the U.S. stocks, S&P 500 rose 0.55%, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average added 0.52%. The tech-heavy Nasdaq gained 0.7%. Big tech stocks mixed on last Friday. Shares of Nvidia added 1.92%. Most of the US chip stocks rebounded as their stocks were oversold recently, and investors think that the US economy remains in a good condition, as Jerome Powell said. Okay, this is the end of today's news. Thank you for watching. Happy Monday!